Welcome to a very special episode of the Monster Report. This is the G-Fan tribute to Mr. Haruo Nakajima. To begin, I had the chance to meet Mr. Nakajima about a month before his passing at the Days of the Dead convention in Indianapolis, Indiana. He was joined by Mr. Kitagawa. It was very good to see both of them together, these two generations of Godzilla suit actors. I could tell Mr. Kitagawa had a lot of respect for Mr. Nakajima and his work. I'd like to say, Mr. Nakajima, you were an inspiration to many of us, to me personally, and you will be missed.
What's up, G-fans? And sad news, of course. August 7th, 2017, we lost Haruo Nakajima, who was definitely, a lot of us, our role models when we were kids. And when we were kids, our role model was Godzilla, but did we know it was Haruo Nakajima?
I think in the back of our heads.
Yeah.
You know,
we
knew that there was a guy in that suit,
but very sad news. And yeah, just
it's you know, it shocked, I think, a lot of people. You know, I think we always kind of looked at him as an invincible person, you know, because he was Godzilla, you know, and Godzilla's always, you know, Godzilla can't die. But yes, he is human after all. So yeah, when I heard the news, you know, it kind of took, it took a while to sink in. And, you know, to be honest, usually I don't get really upset about celebrity deaths because, you know, they're human. It's just part of human nature. People die. That's just how it is. But with this person in particular, even though we didn't get to meet him personally. A lot of people have gotten to meet him personally, which I wish we could have, and now we will never get the chance.
Yeah.
But, you know, the way that he still was childhood to us, and you know, gave us that spark of imagination and you know, being just kind of having a big personality, just doing what you want, you know, live your dreams, kind of stuff like that. Just such a funny guy too. And I've seen so many videos with him, and he's just so, you know, I think as much as he's, you know, touched us, you know, I think we've touched him and showed him that we appreciate all the work that he's done in his years of being a suit actor.
He was definitely really interactive with his fans, and he always loved coming to the cons and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
And like you said, you know, we never got to meet him, but he's always going to live on through the films, through the documentaries, and of course he's going to even live on through the collectibles.
Yeah, and his legacy will never die.
Never.
He's always going to be remembered.
Never.
What a great guy. Once again, wish we could have met him.
Yeah, the closest thing I got is a signature that one of my friends got for me. But
yeah. So, so you know, I guess that's really all we can say for it. Our little tribute to him.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, pretty much. And thank you for all the fun memories of watching the films and getting us to dream big and, you know, all that stuff. And basically, you know,
enjoy the hobby that we love. Yeah.
None of this would have happened if it wasn't for him. So, yeah.
Thank you, Nakajima.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Richard Pusateri. Mr. Nakajima was almost certainly the main reason I went to my first Godzilla convention, G-Con or G-Fest in 1996. That convention led to my involvement in this fandom of Japanese science fiction movies. Meeting Mr. Nakajima was refreshing, as he was a cheerful, lively guy who was having a wonderful time meeting his fans of Godzilla. I especially remember him marveling at a fan-built Baragon suit. He told us the story of being injured while acting in the real Baragon suit on Frankenstein Conquers the World, or Frankenstein Against Baragon. Whenever I saw Mr. Nakajima over the years, he was always upbeat, and he tried to be gracious to his admiring fans. Studying his work over the years, I came to appreciate his graceful athleticism. He had a recognizable style in animating the monster suits. In some roles, he was nimble like a dancer. He choreographed many fight sequences, being the master of monster martial arts. In his personality, I admired his work ethic. He was always eager to put on the best performance possible to get the best shot in the can. He appeared to be an uncomplaining, hard worker, a team player, always eager to accept new challenges. And these movies had limited budgets and tight time schedules, and it was very demanding work on the miniature sets, acting, compensating to the high-speed cameras, and of course the bright lights. In those early days, the lights were very bright, the suits had no ventilation, he had to look out his air holes, and it was extremely challenging, and he did it all uncomplainingly and with great results. So I always admire all of his work, and I always enjoyed seeing him. He was a very charming man, and I miss him very much. So thank you, Mr. Nakajima, and thank you, Nick, and everybody.
I first remember seeing him back in 2008 when he first came to G-Fest 15, and I saw him again in 2014 at Chiller Theater. My best memory of him was just that the man had a sense of electricity with him whenever he went. He always had energy to entertain the fans, and a very humble gentleman as well. It's really a shame that we lost him this year. Earlier this year we lost Yoshimitsu Banno, which was hard enough on us, but to lose actually Haruo Nakajima, the man who is Godzilla, it's just devastating loss. I know he's gone, but he will never be forgotten amongst us as well as the rest of the Godzilla community.
I had first met Haruo Nakajima in October 2014, and I fanboyed out. But I have to say that my fondest memory was August 2015 at Monster Mania. We had a fan dinner with Mr. Nakajima and a few others, and I showed him a picture of my collection, and his reaction was like, ooh. To a fan like myself that collects this stuff, it was very heartfelt, and I loved it. However, by the end of the evening, I became very emotional because this wasn't long after my best friend Joe passed away. I went up to Mr. Nakajima and I said to him, "Thank you for everything. Thank you for being my hero. Thank you for making me the person that I am, and thank you for giving me a best friend, because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have met him." I pulled out a pin, this pin right here. It's a picture of Joe and Haruo Nakajima when they met at Chiller Theater back in October 2014, and I told Mr. Nakajima, this is my best friend Joe, and he passed away a couple months ago, and all this was being translated to him, and there was an expression of mourn on his face. He came up to me and gave me a giant hug. Who gets hugged by Godzilla? I did.
Well, hello, I am Fabien, I am from France, and I am a big fan of Godzilla and also a huge fan of Mr. Nakajima. I actually met Mr. Nakajima once. It was back in 2015. I was lucky because I went to his home. It was something like 1 hour in train from Tokyo. I went there with his agent, Shigeko Kojima, and actually I went to Japan to interview some people to do a book about Hishiro Honda. And of course I wanted to meet Mr. Nakajima because he was Godzilla. And so we went to his home. It was in a building, and we came up to his apartment, and we were welcomed by Mr. Nakajima himself, by his wife and by their daughter Sonohei. And the three of them were just very nice and very cheerful. They welcomed me with pleasure, and they were very friendly. And Mr. Nakajima offered me a tour of his apartment, and there were lots of memorabilia of shootings, of greetings with the fans, of conventions, a lot of action figures, toys and pictures. It was great. I was in Godzilla's home and there were Godzilla stuff everywhere. Then after that I made my interview with Mr. Nakajima, and after that he presented me a portfolio of his personal life, so it was kind of surprising and moving. But then he presented me another portfolio with his photos from the Toho films, the memories of his shootings, and it was just awesome. I held this treasure in my hands and I felt very, very privileged. It was one great moment to live. And then he unpacked his American Blu-ray of King Kong vs. Godzilla, so it was the American cut, and we watched some of the movie together, and I was with him on his couch, just next to him, and we were just watching the movie in silence together, and we were drinking tea and eating biscuits, and it was just one hell of a moment. It was just a wonderful memory, and I felt very privileged and honored to live this moment. And it was one of my most cherished memories of meeting Toho actors. And Mr. Nakajima was humble, he was kind, he was lovely, and he had a lot of humor. And then finally we left the Nakajima family, and the last memory I have of them is the three, the Nakajimas of the three, just waving us goodbye, and then the door closed. And it was just a wonderful time, and my God, we will miss him a lot. He will be missed a lot, so that's why I send all my sympathy to his family, especially to his daughter Sonoe, and God bless all the Nakajima family. That's all I can say. God bless the Nakajima family, and long live the king.
We just want to take a moment to thank Mr. Nakajima for his years of hard work and dedication, blood, sweat, and tears into bringing some of our favorite monsters to life. I hope he knew how much he really influenced my generation and future generations to follow. You have anything to say, Alexis?
Thank you, Mr. Nakajima. Roar!
We have many people to thank in the kaiju genre for essentially giving us magic, but one man who deserves the most amount of credit for is Haruo Nakajima. This is the man who portrayed Godzilla, literally gave this monster life. We have Honda and Super Eye to thank as well, but this is the man who literally gave us Godzilla. The fact that he can go from being a nuclear metaphor to a superhero seamlessly is very impressive, and all the amount of work he put into all his other performances, be it Rodan, Varan, Gaira, it's just amazing how versatile this man was. The fact that he has left us is truly a devastating loss, not just for kaiju fans, but for film goers in general. A lot of people like to discredit Godzilla as just being cheap, but those people don't really seem to know what these people go through just for our entertainment. Haruo Nakajima has put so much on the line, punished his body so much that he deserves respect, a lot of respect and recognition. I will never forget when I met him at G-Fest 15 in 2008. He was a very, very humble man. I will never forget meeting the man who gave me so much inspiration, so much joy, so much hope in my life. Mr. Nakajima, you will be truly, truly missed. we'll all miss you very, very much.
Hello, Bastizilla here from Germany, and I want to thank Mr. Nakajima one last time in this short video. So when I found out that Nakajima-san has died, it was like a part of me is dying. I never got to meet Haruo Nakajima, but it was like a family member has died. Because he was my childhood hero. He still is my hero, and he will always be my hero, Godzilla, my favorite character of our time. And I still can't believe that he's gone. Thank you, Mr. Nakajima, for everything. Our lives wouldn't be the same without you. We wouldn't be here without you, and we will never forget you. Rest in peace, Mr. Nakajima. You are in a better place now, and you will live forever in the hearts of your fans and in these wonderful movies. Thank you, Mr. Nakajima. Thank you for everything. Sayonara.
Haruo Nakajima is an icon to many. He is and always will be Godzilla. He has paved the way for pseudomation and tokusatsu to this day, and he's inspired countless fans across the globe, including myself. Whether you're an adult or a child, you can't help but enjoy his work in the Showa era, portraying kaiju such as Godzilla, Rodan, Gyra, Varan, and countless others. Like, he would have you believe that there's an actual giant monster destroying Tokyo, but you know it's a giant rubber suit, but he has you believing that he's actually destroying Tokyo or any other city that he's destroyed. And you can't take that away from him, and you absolutely have to respect the man for that. I personally never met the man, but I'm sure he was a genuine human being. And although he is gone, his legacy won't be forgotten. He has too many fans, friends, and family to forget him, and he will always be remembered. Sayonara, Haruo Nakajima.
Hi, I'm Martin Earl, and I'm a big monster movie fan. I especially love kaiju films, those Japanese giant monster movies where men in monster suits lay waste to large miniature landscapes. I think my love for that type of picture really started with my first Godzilla film, which I saw on TV at probably the age of 3 or 4, which was King Kong vs. Godzilla. And in this picture, Godzilla was played by Haruo Nakajima. Sadly, this week we had to say goodbye to Nakajima-san, who passed away at the age of 88. Over the years, he had played Godzilla in no fewer than 12 films. But in addition, he played in other films a number of other monsters, including Rodan, Baragon, Varan, as well as playing several monsters on television on shows like Ultra Q and Ultraman. So he was an ever-present actor in these films, even if you never saw his face or heard his voice. For me, growing up, there were only a handful of Godzilla movies that seemed to show up on television time and time again, and these included Destroy All Monsters, Godzilla vs. The Thing, Godzilla vs. the Smog Monster. And all these movies might have different actors, they might have different directors, they might have different special effects people. But one thing they all had in common, this small group of films that I saw over and over again, was that Godzilla was played by Nakajima-san. So in a way, his performance as Godzilla was probably the most consistent I'd ever seen a monster being played. You know, Frankenstein might be played by a number of different actors, or Dracula, or the Mummy, but even though I couldn't see his face, it was always the same man on screen, and I can't even begin to explain the importance of that to this monster kid growing up and watching these films. In recent years, I've been extremely fortunate to have met Mr. Nakajima, both at American conventions as well as on trips to Japan. And I'm really grateful that in this past 10 years or so, that he's had the opportunity to see just how much his work is appreciated, especially by fans here in the West. because I think it's easy for them to think they're drawing their paycheck and nobody's going to really care about what they do. And he's had a chance to see just how much we all love him, and we really do. He will be missed, and so rest in peace, Nakajima-san. As far as I'm concerned, you will always be the king of the monsters.
My name is Eric Hominick, and I am the webmaster of akiraifukube.org, the official English language website about the composer. I'd like to take a brief moment to acknowledge the passing of Haruo Nakajima, the original and, in my opinion, greatest Godzilla suit actor of them all. Unfortunately, I never got a chance to meet Mr. Nakajima in person. I do, however, have a copy of his autograph that I have in my archives, and of course, certainly now I will treasure it more than ever. Godzilla is one of the greatest, most iconic movie monsters of all time. He's up there with King Kong, Dracula, Frankenstein, and many others. Of course, Bela Lugosi is no longer with us, neither is Boris Karloff, and now, no longer is Haruo Nakajima, the man who truly was Godzilla. On behalf of akiraifukube.org, Mr. Nakajima, rest in peace.
Hey, Nick and Monster Report. This is Kyle Bird from the Kaiju Transmissions podcast, and so with a heavy heart that we are talking about the passing of Haruo Nakajima. There's not much I have to say that other people haven't said 100 times, so I'm going to keep it short, but this is a guy that loved his craft of suit acting. He played Godzilla, Mothra, Rodan, Baragon, the Green Gargantua, King Kong, so many others, Ultraman monsters, and throughout his filmography he was buried alive, had explosions go off near his flesh, just did a lot of stuff, just almost drowned, wearing this incredibly sweaty, heavy monster suits. And he did it because he loved it. And then once he started coming stateside and to conventions and stuff, he really loved his fans. And till the day that he died, he was coming out here and was always happy to interact with his fans. So on behalf of Kaiju Transmissions, and I'm sure fans worldwide, we really extend our condolences and thoughts to his family, his daughter Sonoe, and he will be sorely missed. Alright, take care, guys.
So my first meeting with Haruo Nakajima was last year at Fandom Fest 2016. The experience of getting to meet the original Godzilla was absolutely priceless, and those 3 days were fantastic. There's something I'll never forget. After the convention, I ended up getting a tattoo with his signature from my M1 that Haruo figure that I got signed. It's really hard hearing the passing of him, but I'm sure the legacy of Godzilla will carry on.
Hi, my name's Jeff Horn. I'd like to share a story about Nakajima-san. Back in 1996, he and Ken Satsuma came to the United States for the first time to a first fan convention in Arlington Heights, Illinois. It was a wonderful experience, the way the fans treated the two men, the way that they were received, and how blown away they were by just the genuine affection that everyone showed towards them. During a question and answer session, someone asked Nakajima-san, was he ever seriously hurt doing any of the special effects or doing any of the scenes from the movies? Thought maybe it might have been in Mothra vs. Godzilla where the suit catches on fire or something like that. But he surprised everyone and said, no, it was during a scene with Varan when he was in the suit, the Varan suit. Towards the end, Varan climbs out of the water and a truck goes between his legs and explodes. Now, if you watch the shot in the film, you'll see all the smoke, and it's an incredible amount of smoke. What happens is Nakajima falls over, face down, into the pavement or onto the surface, and very slowly gets back up and rises to his feet and starts to walk. He says what happened is that the explosives were so strong that it burned the skin on his thighs. But out of respect for the director and all the people that had worked on the film, he continued the take and didn't stop until the director yelled, "Cut." He was such a professional, Even though he had these burns on his legs and was practically knocked out, he continued. And that was Nakajima-san. Professional, that his craft and his respect for other people won out over his own personal pain. He was a great man, and we thank him so much for everything that he's given us over the years.
It was 1975. I remember staring at this picture from this very magazine for hours on end. Even with as many cameos outside of the suit, I was much too young to recognize the actual man who, for many years, portrayed Godzilla and many other daikaiju such as Rodan and Gaida the Green Gargantua. Of course, I'm talking about Haruo Nakajima. You're an icon, an inspiration, and above all, a gentleman with a kind heart. And I want you to know that many times you eased the troubled mind of a little boy forced to grow up too fast. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. We only met briefly, but I've known you my entire life. And there is no doubt that my life, family, and friends are a tribute to your influence. With much love, honor, and respect. Domo arigato gozaimasu, Nakajima-san.
The combined forces let loose, swamp the nearby ships, and crush their thickly armored hulls like cardboard.
Without a doubt, Mr. Nakajima changed the world and left behind one of the greatest legacies that will be enjoyed for generations to come.
Mr. Nakajima, I want to thank you so much for a lifetime of joy and happiness that you've given me, and I know you've given to fans all around the world. None of this would be possible without you. Your creativity and your craft that you brought as an actor, bringing a wonderful character to life, has defined a genre and has a place in pop culture forever. And it's only because of you that this is possible. And even though this has been a difficult week losing you, we know that you are never very far away. And I want to thank you personally because getting the opportunity to meet you the last few years was a wonderful, wonderful thing. And I can remember just a great story of you taking the time, like you do to every fan I've ever seen you be in contact with. And you made that extra effort to just do something great with them and to bring a smile to their faces. It was G-Fest 2008, and we stopped you in the lobby, me, Ken Edfield, and Kenny Napper. And we said, you know, could you show us how to walk like Godzilla? And you smiled, you laughed, and you took the time, and you showed us the Godzilla moves, how to pose, how to walk like him, and you took a picture with me and Kenny. And for some young Godzilla fans that we were at the time, that just meant the world to us, and it's something that I'm never ever going to forget. So that's just a small example of the things that you've done in this fandom to make it a better place. You've taken that extra step with people to be kind to them, to show them respect and dignity in all types of people. Really meant a lot, and to me it's very inspiring, and that's what I take away from meeting you, the man behind the suit. This wonderful, sweet, and big-hearted individual that you are, and I can't thank you enough for all that you've given me in my life and all the happy memories of just sitting there and watching Godzilla and being put into another world and letting my imagination soar. And this is because of your hard work and dedication, and I want to thank you so very much. And I know, like me, like so many of us, this week we lost our best friend, and you very much were that person. You are Godzilla. So I know this is not the end, and I know our paths will all cross again. So thank you, Mr. Nakajima. We love you, and thank you very much.
I grew up watching Godzilla like a lot of guys, and Godzilla is like one of those things, one of the few things that are like the most sacred things from my childhood. And when I got the chance, when I found out that I'd be able to go meet Haruo Nakajima in person, I was like, wow. I was wondering what it was going to be like because I grew up watching the suit move around, and I never saw his face. So I was curious what was going to happen with that. And it was like, when I saw him, that was, to me, that was Godzilla, because it was weird. It was like, you could see the way that he moved, especially with his arms and his hands, and the way he would cup his hands. It was like Godzilla was there, and that was one of the best convention experiences I ever had. It's like I don't believe that he's gone now. It just hasn't sunk in, because it's like when you're like a Godzilla fan and you're online all the time, and you're with the Godzilla community online. It's like he was one of us, just because he was like showing up at conventions so often, and he was just like around, and now he's not, and then I don't know. We'll just never forget you.
I'd like to thank everyone who contributed to this video. I really appreciate all that you said, and I'm sure the Nakajima family appreciates it as well. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Monster Report, and thank you, Mr. Nakajima, for being an inspiration, a hero to all of us. You will be missed.